All right, welcome to the Sports Mashup number 83, October 26, 2022. Beginning, of course, in the NBA, where Chris Paul, 37-year-old point guard of the Phoenix Suns, reaches the 11,000 career assist mark. And if I'm being honest, as a Suns fan, I did not want him to return this season, but the season is here. He's on the team. Got to roll with it. He's been solid. He's been okay. First game was ugly. Second game was pretty ugly, but overall, you gotta roll with it. And he's gonna have a lot of milestones given how long he's played and how much he's played and how consistent he's been.
I mean, the game that they're rewatching on TV now that they played last night, they destroyed the Warriors.
They look good. They look good. They look a little bit more complete the last few games. I know they lost to Portland in the second game of the season, and they had to have a huge comeback against Dallas in the first game to beat them. But they beat up on the Clippers. They beat up on the Warriors. They look a little bit more complete, maybe a little bit less reliance on one guy or two guys. I know Booker's been really good to start the season, but they look a little bit more motivated, which I think is a good thing given the fact that their Game 7 performance that ended the season last year was all-time bad. So you would hope that they'd be a little bit more motivated. It's pretty much the exact same roster with the addition of Damian Lee, and then obviously they're going to be trading Jay Crowder at some point. But it's been good. It's been good. But it's very early. Like the Lakers are terrible, as we all knew. The Jazz have been good, so that's a surprise. But it's early.
So what you're saying is they're the complete opposite team of the Timberwolves.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Yeah.
Who the only team they beat is the Thunder.
Yeah.
And then now you got Anthony Edwards saying he plays better in a smaller lineup.
Well, they just brought in Gobert, so they got Gobert and Towns. I don't think they're going to have a smaller lineup anytime soon.
No, that's what he was complaining about.
Exactly, yeah.
That's and then Towns called him out for eating Popeye's chicken or something.
It's good stuff. I mean, hey, doing it every once in a while can't be that bad unless he's doing it like every day, then that'd probably be a problem. But
and of course, it's going to take time for Gobert and Towns to actually work.
Yeah, that was a bizarre move by Minnesota, though. Like, they gave up a ton for Gobert, like way too much.
Yeah. Last in the NBA, you had Tony Brown, NBA ref for 20 years, passes the young age of 55.
Yeah, I mean, that's sad news. Rest in peace. Thoughts with his family, the NBA referee families, and all of that. Sad news, no doubt, though. When did he retire? Do we know? Did he retire?
I don't even know if he had retired.
Well, either way, thoughts out to his family and others. Moving along, never easy to transition from something like that. We'll go to the NFL, though, where Jets wide receiver Elijah Moore requested a trade, which, I mean, it's kind of a weird situation in that he hasn't gotten the ball that much. But I don't think the Jets are ever going to be a team that is throwing the ball 30 to 40 times a game if they're controlling the game or not down by a lot, because you look at the way that they can run the ball. I know that obviously Breece Hall has the torn ACL, but then they traded picks to get James Robinson from the Jaguars. So the Jets are a running team with a quarterback who has a lot of talent, but just is not there. Like, he was not good against the Broncos. He hasn't been good this season yet. They're 5-2. So I think that's the big factor. And I don't think they're going to trade more. I know that his role is a role that's kind of played by a Braxton Berrios or another guy that they can throw in the slot. But I don't think they're going to trade Elijah Moore. I don't think that'll happen.
Isn't this also happening right after Corey Davis requested a trade?
I think that's right. Yeah. I would say that the Jets receivers are kind of frustrated that they're not throwing the ball a lot. But I mean, if you're going to win, they're a team that needs to be able to run the ball to win, and Breece Hall was great before he got hurt. So I could see them trading Corey Davis. I don't think that they'll trade Elijah Moore.
No, and then I put on here, I didn't know if Elijah Moore's request was after Robbie Anderson basically throwing a fit because of not getting targets and then being traded.
Could be, but I don't think this is as legitimate as that. Just because the Jets are winning and Elijah Moore is still very young, a great talent. He's like 24, so I don't know what they would get for him. But he also had the Chargers cornerback J.C. Jackson, who they gave a ton of money to in the offseason, out for the season, ruptured patellar tendon. So, I mean, he was struggling. Like, he did not look good at all outside of Belichick's defense. So either way, you don't want to see something like this. But he was not having a good season. So we'll see if he can come back from that. Seems like that's something that's going to be hard to come back from. And the Chargers have thrown a lot of money around in the last couple of years, and they are still a team that gets a ton of injuries. You know, Rashawn Slater.
They also had another one. Somebody else get hurt that was just week to week.
Joey Bosa's hurt. Rashawn Slater's out for the year. Keenan Allen's been hurt for most of the season. They are very much one of those injury-prone teams that doesn't seem to be able to stay healthy, and this is another one. So who knows?
Let's hold off on your next one since it was more breaking.
Yeah.
You had Christian McCaffrey get traded to the 49ers for draft picks, a second, a third, a fourth in 2023, and a fifth in 2024.
Well, what I don't understand about this is that people are acting like the Panthers didn't get enough in return. We're talking about a guy who's an extreme talent, there's no doubt. He's played 17 games in the last 3 seasons, and you expect them to get a first for him, especially when the Niners and the Rams, who are the 2 teams that were last in for him, don't even have a first. That was not going to happen. The fact that they get a second, third, fourth, and fifth, and the second and the third are in this year's draft, right? That's significant. I mean, that's a lot. And this is a guy who, what use did the Panthers have for him? None. They're not a good team. They're a rebuilding team. They're going to have a new head coach coming in at some point, you would think, unless they keep Wilkes, which I highly doubt.
And they won by 18 the first game he didn't play.
Which, you know, that seems like more of a reflection on your team than the Panthers, but either way, it's a win.
It could have been game plan for McCaffrey, not Chuba Hubbard.
I suppose. They also have Chuba Hubbard, who's solid. So this is a huge win for the Panthers in my eyes, and I wouldn't not call it a win for the Niners. I think they gave up a little bit too much, but I also think that the fact that they were competing with the Rams to get him probably made them go over the line and give up an extra pick they probably weren't comfortable with. If I had to guess, maybe the third. They didn't want to throw him, but then they threw that in. That could be the case. But, this is a good trade for both sides, but I also think the Panthers win this just given the value.
Well, and that they just received 2 picks for Rob Anderson, so they've gotten 6 picks for 2 players.
Yeah, and also, you know, you look at a player, for example, like Devontae Adams. The Packers got a first and a second for him. This is like on par with that. I mean, it's not a first, but it's also a second and a third and a fourth and a fifth. And Devontae Adams has been way more consistent and way more healthy than Christian McCaffrey going into that trade. So I understand it for both sides, but I think the Panthers got plenty in return. And I think the people that think otherwise aren't paying attention to the trade market.
No, and with those 2 trades, they rejected their most lucrative offer, which was for pass rusher stand-up Brian Burns.
Now, is Burns worth a first? I'm not totally convinced of that. I think there's a short list of players that are.
One team offered 2 first-round picks.
Exactly. I guess he's young and he's really good, but I feel like the list of guys that I would give up a first-round pick for on the defensive side of the ball is probably like Nick Bosa, TJ Watt, Micah Parsons. I think that's it.
Well, he's only 24, and he's in the middle of his 4th NFL season on a deal that he's only getting paid $2.4 or $2.34 million.
But he's going to get paid within the next couple of years.
Yeah. He's expected to land a massive extension this offseason.
I mean, depending on the situation, if I'm like one of the best teams in the league, I'd probably give up a first, but 2 firsts is outrageous. And I understand why the Panthers didn't want to do that. I think getting as many picks as they've gotten already for Anderson and McCaffrey probably helps, but that's a ton to not take.
Well, no, and with the pass rushing market is there's going to be Burns, Nick Bosa, Bradley Chubb, and others are also going to be involved in that.
Yeah. And we saw one go today who had a great season last year and not so great to start this year and pretty low.
So you could could have taken those 2 first-round picks, but then you're trying to fight for Nick Bosa or Chubb or somebody else to replace him next year.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you have the Colts bench, Matt Ryan, playing to start. It's Sam, right?
Sam Ellinger, yeah.
Yeah, the rest of the year.
Well, I thought the Matt Ryan thing would go a little bit better in Indy, but he is clearly not good anymore or even close to being good. Just turned the ball over way too much. At what point is this a reflection on Frank Reich, and at what point does he get fired? Because I feel like where they're at right now, this is 6 quarterbacks under him alone for the last like 4 years, and they've had 7 or 8 in the last like 6 seasons or 5 seasons. So,
well, yeah, and even during the game Sunday, they were calling him out because they had Naheem Hines running the ball inside the 20, and Jonathan Taylor had only been in on the first 2 plays of the drive.
yeah, this is simply a situation where they just have not recovered since Andrew Luck retired. Like they just have not found anybody. Like the guy that led them to the most success was 38-year-old Phillip Rivers or whatever. So
stud.
Yeah, I mean it worked, and the Wentz thing was always kind of like I doubt that's going to work, but maybe. And then Matt Ryan I thought would work, and that clearly did not. So it's a real disaster, and you got to think that they're going to be drafting a quarterback in this draft, unless Ellinger has a great finish of the season, which I don't see happening, but you never know, I guess. But in this league, you don't need a star quarterback to win. It helps, but you don't need it. I mean, look at some of the best teams in the league right now. Jalen Hurts is good. Is he a star? Maybe he's close.
Geno Smith.
Geno Smith's winning. There you go. Jimmy Garoppolo's had success.
Mariota.
They've been solid with Mariota. And then you look at players or teams that have a ton of money invested in their quarterback without good results to this point. The Rams, the Packers, the Bucks. It's just.
I knew you had to throw him in.
Well, it's true. I threw my guy in there too. I mean, it's true.
He's getting paid a lot more.
Well, they're both making, upwards of what's Brady making?
I don't know.
30?
Carr's also on a big contract.
Carr, yeah, and they're 2 and 4. You also have Zach Wilson and Daniel Jones are winning games. They're not stars. So, and Cooper Rush won multiple games. So I just don't, especially with if you can get a quarterback that's good and on a rookie contract, you're in a great spot. That's why I think if Fields actually turns out to be good for the Bears, they could have a really good team around him next year or the year after. Because they have a ton of cap space and a ton of picks.
I think what helps these young players too is if you have a pretty good defense.
Yeah. I mean, you look at what the Patriots have for Mac Jones last season, they were a good defense. You look at, the Jags defense has had moments this season. The Eagles defense is great. The Giants defense is really good. The Jets defense is really good. So, yeah, I think defense and offensive line is pretty much where you want to be. And if you don't have that great quarterback, you want to have that running back duo or a good running back. And, yeah, so.
And then Sunday was National Tight Ends Day. You had basically the two that started it, and George Kittle and Travis Kelce. They each ended the game with 6 catches, 498 yards. Only different ones, Kittle had a touchdown.
There you go.
I mean, I didn't look up every tight end stat. But
yeah, I can't think of
those two played each other.
Yeah, it's fitting. It's fitting. All right, you want to get into the Week 7 recap?
No, you have your.
Oh yeah,
your last.
Yeah, the Bears traded defensive end Robert Quinn to the Eagles for a 4th-round pick, which this says to me you should have traded him in the offseason because he had the most sacks in Bears history last season, and he hasn't been that great this season. He's been struggling a little bit. He only get a 4th. Sack. Yeah, I think they'd probably get a 2nd if they traded him in the summer. So not great, but also then again, you look, the Bears are going to have a ton of cap space, a ton of picks. I don't think that you can say that Fields is the guy yet, but I think you can say that you could probably win with him if you have a good defense and a good running game.
Could they have not sent him to anywhere other than Philly?
Well, I mean, I can't think of anybody else who would have been in the mix for him that would be heavy on passers. Maybe the Chargers, but they already traded Mack there, so they want to do business with the Chargers again. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, makes sense, though. That's a good – I mean, the Eagles' defense is loaded already, so this will help. I would assume that the Bears' defense isn't bad, but Quinn going into a better defense with that elite front with Hargrave and Cox in the front 7, I think will help him.
Jordan
Davis, yeah. Pretty good.
This is just filling the other end spot from all their injuries.
Yeah, they have Derek Barnett is hurt, so that's definitely a notable one.
And this comes days after the Cowboys traded for Hankins.
Yep. All right, Week 7 recap.
Thursday Night Football, you had the Cardinals beat the Saints 32-40 or 42-34. Cardinals turn early turnovers into points. Saints try to make it really late, but not enough.
Couple things. Andy Dalton, obviously the 2 pick sixes, not great. Looks like he's still going to start for the Saints this week. And then how about the fact that a Thursday night game, we actually have points?
Though I don't think the pick sixes were on him.
No,
Marcus
but
Callaway dropped both those balls.
yeah, but it's one of those things that everybody's going to remember from this game. And the camera shot of the guy flipping into the end zone right behind Andy Dalton.
Well, I guess not Dennis Allen, because he was the one who said, even though Jameis is ready, he's sticking with Andy Dalton.
Yeah, well, you could say that they're trying to tank, but I think the Eagles have the Saints pick, so they're not. So the Eagles are in a great spot. I mean, that team is built to win another Super Bowl within the next few years. You had the Ravens beat the Browns 23-20. My response is I don't think either one of these teams is good. I mainly say that because the Ravens have blown a ton of leads. They barely win this game. I didn't see a second of this game. I heard that there was a bad call that screwed the Browns over. And the Browns are 2-5. They still have, 3 or 4 games without Deshaun Watson. So
yeah,
it's not good for them. But this sets them up to probably be good next season, so who knows?
Yeah, I don't know on this, really. I mean, I haven't really seen much of either team.
I think the Bengals are significantly better than both, even though the Ravens beat the Bengals. I would say I don't know if I'd call the Ravens – I think I'd maybe call them good, but I don't think they're that good. Would kind of be where I'm at on them.
And then you had the Panthers beat the Bucs 21-3. The Bucs' offensive struggles continue, and their defense continues to give up rushing yards, which is supposed to be their best key. And Chuba Hubbard and company ran all over them.
It sounds like the Packers and the Bucs are almost the same team right now.
But the Bucs are supposed to be getting Ryan Jensen back, which will help the inside of that offensive line.
Yeah, this is a weird game. I don't know. I didn't see that much of this one either, but it seemed like one of those weird divisional games that you see every once in a while. I mean, we saw the Saints do it to them a couple times in the past. I figured the Panthers would be due for a big win after they fired Rule, since that's usually how it works. They didn't get it against the Rams last week, but they get it here.
Didn't you bet on this game?
I don't think I picked this game, no. I think that was a stay away spot. Yeah, I didn't, because my picks, this is maybe my best picks week ever last week. So we'll get into that. Anything else in this game?
No.
Bengals beat the Falcons 35-17. Burrow and Chase are back. Huge game for Joe Burrow. The Falcons a little bit coming down to earth a little bit here. The Bengals offense is finally starting to do what they did last season. They should be. They improved their offensive line on paper. They have all the same weapons in front of Burrow. So it seems like the Bengals are starting to get their way back here to being the best team in the division, which they should be.
Agreed. You had the Cowboys beat the Lions 24-6. Well, this was a snooze fest at the beginning of the game. I believe it was like 6-6 or 6-3 forever. Cowboys defense is dominant in return for Dak.
Lions offense coming back down to earth a little bit after a hot start. I mean, did they have a bye last week? I thought they had a bye last week, because if that's the case, they scored 6 points in 2 games, because they had none against the Patriots.
I don't think so.
I feel like there's a little bit of heat for Dan Campbell right now. A little bit from what I've seen. I mean, nobody thought they'd be good, but they're 1-5? Yeah, they had a bye. So think about this. They score 35, 36, 24, 45, and they won one of those games. And then the last 2 games, they scored 0 and 6. So I think teams starting to figure them out a little bit, and they're also facing better teams. Like the defense.
Is this on Dan Campbell, though, or is this on their offensive coordinator?
I think it's on a little bit of everything. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why anybody thought that they would be like good.
Is Swift still hurt too?
That I don't.
Nate Ross also has been hurt the last 2 games.
Yeah, Swift not
playing. Whatever.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I don't know. I mean, Jamal Williams has been good for them, so they got that going, but Dak didn't have to do much in this game. I mean, the Cowboys pretty much, their defense dominated. They had 2 interceptions, and I mean, they can get after the quarterback, and they did. Parsons had 2 sacks. Sam Williams, I don't even know who that is, had 2 sacks. Donovan Wilson had a sack. So 5 sacks, 2 picks. That'll work if you're Dallas. The Giants beat the Jaguars 23-17. Giants held on the goal line. Big tackle on the goal line. At the end, they're now 6-1. And the Giants just continue to play a little bit of a ball control, clock managing, good defensive game. This one got a little close at the end, but I mean, they're 6-1, so I don't really think you could say much other than people are going to look at them and be like, I don't think they're good, but it's working to this point.
Yeah, I saw something earlier. It was like this year, Saquon's running like this, and it was him. It was either his freshman year or sophomore year returning kickoffs, and he returned the opening kickoff against Ohio State and was untouched.
Yeah, he's back.
The Titans beat the Colts 19-10. Colts offense is brutal. Titans play ball control. 30 carries for 128 yards for Derrick Henry. Though, things speculation that Tannehill might not be able to play this week, so it could be a Malik Wills week.
Could be. I mean, I'll say this. The Titans, things are starting to even out a little bit in that division. Kind of what we expected early in the season, except I don't think people thought the Colts would be this bad. But, I mean, the Titans kind of have that winning thing down where they're probably not going to be a dominant team, but they win games. Like last season, they were the 1 seed in the AFC, and they weren't that good. Like they were good, but they weren't like great. So right now they're 4-2. They started 0-2, right? So 4 straight wins, I think. And like, yeah, once again, they're 4-2, but guess what? Their point differential is still in the negative. So, that's not really that of a 4-2 team, but they're also in a bad division where you have a 3-1 Colts team that's terrible. You have a 2-5 Jaguars team that's scrappy but not good, and a terrible 1-4-1 Texans team. So things are evening out in that division, though. It's kind of back to where we thought it would be.
Me having the Titans defense really worked out for me last week.
There you go.
In picks and sacks.
If Matt Ryan was still the starter, I would just want the defense that's facing him every week because you're going to get a couple.
No, you never know. 1 week, and then they'll go off and throw for 4 touchdowns and everything.
It's true. You never know. The Commanders. Oh, yeah. The Commanders beat the Packers 23-20. I don't have any words. I mean, I don't know. The Packers' offense is inconsistent. They can't win. I mean, their defense had a touchdown in this game. Would have had another one if the NFL was like, oh, let's just call illegal contact now because the receiver initiates the contact. The corner touches him past the 10 yards or whatever. Oh, it's illegal contact. So that negates the strip sack. So that was terrible. But then again, the Packers offense just simply can't win. 0 third down conversions. You can't win like that. It's just a lot of miscommunications. Their offensive line was better in this game, I'll say. Their defense, I thought, played well. I don't know what Packer fans expect from their defense when the offense can't stay on the field. So you're just gassing your defense. And Heineke made big plays, I guess. I mean, I didn't even look like he had his eyes open when he was throwing the ball. McLaurin was great in this game, made big plays. But I don't know.
I almost benched him going against Green Bay secondary. I was like, I don't know if I want to start him. Well, I should have sat Gallup because he didn't even get a catch.
Yeah, I mean, Jair Alexander made some great plays in this game, but McLaurin got the best of him a couple times. So you just tip your cap in that situation, and now the Packers seemingly are running into a buzzsaw against Buffalo on Sunday night. But I also think with the way this season has gone, it wouldn't stun me if they won that game, which I'm not going to hold my breath on that. But, I mean, you look at the Final Four in the NFC last year, they're all struggling. So I would assume that the second half of the season will be a little bit of a script.
Is there an update on how long Bakhtiari is still going to be out?
I'm assuming this week nobody expected him to be out. So I think next week, I think he could play Sunday night, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I almost wanted to go back and rewrite yours since you wrote mine for the Bucks this week. I wanted to go in and write yours for this Commanders-Packers game.
Could have.
The Jets beat the Broncos 16-9. Jets defense is consistently good, shutting down a weak Broncos tech, which was also without Russell Wilson.
Doesn't make much of a difference given the way he's played, though.
No.
Yeah, I mean, Zach Wilson tried to give this game away, but the Jets survive. I mean, Jets are winning games 5-2. Some trade speculation with receivers and on both teams in this game, whether it's Elijah Moore and Corey Davis on the Jets side, and some people are talking about Jerry Jeudy for the Broncos. I don't see them trading him, but you never know. But either way, there's a lot of heat on Nathaniel Hackett already. 7 games into the season, and they want his job.
Well, I mean, there you have statistically like a top 5 defense in the league who are trying to keep them in every game.
I'm pretty sure the Broncos have a good defense every year, no matter what.
That's what I'm getting. Like, I don't know if they've given up more than 20 points, but they can't put any points on the board.
Teams also struggle in that altitude on offense, I think. I think that's a factor because I feel like there's never really any high-scoring games in Denver for the most part. And the Broncos know how to play in it, so it's a big advantage. Raiders beat the Texans 38-20. The Raiders pulled away with 21 points in the fourth quarter. They continued to actually use Josh Jacobs. He had 143 yards and 3 touchdowns. Raiders just did what they needed to do. So instead of being 1-4, they're 2-4. So there you go. Congrats.
Yeah, this like never would have happened for me last year when I had Josh Jacobs and I drafted him early. They would have gotten down here to the end and been like, "Oh, here, you run it. You run it. Oh, let's throw it here."
Josh McDaniels using his running game, Patriots type stuff.
The Seahawks beat the Chargers 37-20. Geno Smith, Kennedy Walker III had 167 yards for 2 touchdowns. Herbert has thrown 108 passes in the last 2 weeks, and I believe Keenan Allen did play for them.
I think so, yeah. Well, the notable thing for Herbert here is that he's thrown 108 passes, and they have not scored very many points. I think he has 2 touchdowns in those games. So that's not ideal if you're the Chargers, but also the Seahawks roster is terrible, by the way. Like, it's not a good roster on paper. So the fact they're 4-3, I think, says a lot about Pete Carroll. A lot of people can say for years, oh, look at the defense. It's all the defensive coordinator or Russell Wilson being great. Pete Carroll's winning with, I think, any team that's over 500, they're the worst roster by far.
Well, they still have Metcalf, they still have Lockett,
but Jamal Adams is out all year.
Yeah, and they still have Will Dissly.
And what player do you look at on the defensive side of the ball where you're like, that's a good player? Because I don't even really see one. I think they have Kobe Bryant, that corner out of Cincinnati that they drafted, who's been good, and Jordan Brooks, middle linebacker, who's okay out of Texas Tech. But other than that, it's like, I don't really see that many defensive players where I'm like, oh, man, you got to watch out for that guy.
Mm-hmm. They've been known to throw some good schemes out there.
That's true. The Chiefs beat the Niners 44-23. I think simply the Chiefs are really good. Mahomes, 423 yards, 3 touchdowns. Juju Smith-Schuster had 124 yards. Marquez Valdez-Scantling had 111. Chiefs offense is rolling, and it's going to be them in Buffalo until the end in the AFC, you'd think.
Yeah. Sunday Night Football, you had the Dolphins beat the Steelers 16-10. Pickett throws 3 picks. Dolphins back on track, and Tua's return. Like, I mean, how many times are you just going to let Pickett go out there and just get abused? Like, Trubisky came in and closed that game last week against the Bucs, and they throw Pickett right back out to the Wolves.
Yeah, the last pick that he threw, the Steelers were driving down the field with a chance to win the game. And Pickett just, I don't know where he's throwing that ball. And he should have just run, but he just throws it right at a defender. I don't understand why Trubisky's not playing, but I guess if they're trying to get Pickett in there, season him a little bit, I guess I understand, especially since they're not expecting to win.
I'd say this one is well seasoned. He's about fried.
He's got like 100 picks. Thrown. Yeah, not great. Monday Night Football, Bears beat the Patriots 33-14. I don't know why people are that shocked by this. I mean, I feel like if Fields wasn't mobile, then yeah, I'd be like, Belichick's going to eat him up. But if Fields is running like he did in that game, the Patriots don't have the personnel to stop that because they're a team that can just feast on immobile quarterbacks with Judon, which he was good in that game. But
I remember we talked about this about Belichick going to Chicago or playing Chicago at home to pass the record from the Bears coach, so we thought it was a gimme game for these.
It's true.
Pats. Mac Jones starts and then gets benched after throwing a pick. Go back to the third string, get Zeppi.
Yeah, I mean, the Bears ran the ball really well. Fields did fumble 4 times and threw a pick, but when he's running in the open field, he's just about as good as anybody at that position. So, yeah, I don't know. The Pats, do they have a QB controversy? I don't think so. They're starting Mac Jones this week. I think Zappy's better right now, but whatever.
Oh, yeah. You started Mac Jones last week.
Yeah, I think it was more. I think they actually thought about Mac Jones maybe being on a snap count because he's coming back from an ankle injury.
And they gave him, he threw a pick. Yeah, that snap count just went from where it was at to right now. And Zabby comes in, runs a touchdown drive, and then they're like, yeah, we're sticking with this guy.
Could be. All right, let's go to golf, I suppose. Which,
no one in the league's got a scouting report on this guy.
That's true. I suppose we shift over to golf, where the season's going to start to get real slow for a while, and then players will start to play again.
And you have the CJ Cup in South Carolina. Winner Roy McIlroy won $1.9 million, shot 17 under. And this coming weekend, you had the Butterfield Bermuda Championship. Defending champion Lucas Herbert at Port Royal Golf Course in Southampton, Bermuda.
And this is maybe the weakest field of the season. Well, of the entire year.
Picking the golfers for this, I almost wanted to text you and be like, hey, do we want to skip picks for this week?
We could have skipped. We could have easily skipped. But
I was already going. I was like, I'm done. Fuck it.
Yeah. Major League Baseball. Cardinals bench coach Skip Schumacher is now the manager of the Miami Marlins. And they also had hitting coach Jeff Albert and pitching coach Mike Maddox step down, so some roles to fill there. And I guess it's notable that Adam Wainwright is returning for his final season this season. And he's back. So big news day in St. Louis, I guess.
It just popped on the bio screen that Yachty is coming back for another year.
Yeah, right.
The battery mates want to continue going. Playoff wise in the NL, you had the Phillies beat the Padres 4-1. And the series of the Padres does not look together at all.
Nope. Phillies feel like a team of destiny. I mean, I think they have a real chance to win this World Series. I guess the Astros, I forgot. Astros beat the Yankees 4-0. They take over New York. Another embarrassing week into the season for the Yankees. So not much more you could say. They're just going to be like, oh, we'll bring back Cashman and Boone, and we'll keep rolling, even though Brian Cashman's about to enter his, 25th season there. So I guess, George Steinbrenner would have been on like his 7th GM between now and then if he were still around. But, I don't know.
Though after your Bader comment last week, I did see something. I think it was on the Yankees TikTok. It was Bader, and it was a Spanish lady interviewing him. She asked him what he knew in Spanish. Whatever he said was definitely not clean language.
Yeah,
she's like, no.
Yeah.
But it was funny seeing him with his short hair because his long hair becomes trademark. He went to New York, had to cut it.
Got to clean it up. Yeah, and it wasn't his fault. He was great in the playoffs. So, he was like the one guy that was a go-to guy. Him and Rizzo were really good for them. But, pretty weak ending with the Yankees. They go out quiet again. They've talked all this smack about the Astros and cheating. They're not cheating now, and they just beat the piss out of you. So
you got the World Series is set. First game is this Friday the 28th, though both CS series ended this past Sunday. So you get an entire week off.
Trying to get the pitchers rested, I guess.
Well, if you think that the guy who started game 4 and game 5 for his team was not whoever starting game 1.
Yep. So it's Astros and Phillies, and it should be an interesting series, no doubt.
Astros definitely the home team, correct?
Yep.
Can the Phillies come from the wild card to win it?
Phillies in 6. Official prediction right there.
Oh. I'm not making that prediction. And you also took who I was going to make him a player of the week, but they also had him listed with 5 home runs, and that was in more than a week.
Right. I'm going Bryce Harper, 7 for 16, 3 runs, 1 homer, 4 RBIs, 3 doubles. And the big thing here is he hit the big home run that pretty much ended the series in Game 5 of the NLCS. His biggest moment of his career probably right there. And he went to Philly, him and Machado both went on runs this year. They both were the 2 guys that signed $300 million deals in that offseason. And
This when he
Harper
hit
put-
it, he bat flipped, kind of pimp walked the entire home run.
I don't know. I mean, he's hit a lot of them in the postseason. This is the big one, though.
He turned and said, like, I'm that guy.
Something like that. Yeah, I think he did that.
Right, so, yeah. I went with Phillies left fielder Kyle Schwarber, 8 for 22, 5 runs, 1 triple, 4 home runs, 7 RBIs, 7 walks. Though sadly, in his 14 non-hit appearances, he had 6 strikeouts.
What can you do? He's been very good.
I mean, yeah, 4 home runs in his 8. Yeah.
Pretty good. All right, the NHL, some notes.
Whoop.
Hang on a sec. Back the truck up.
The Gold Glove Award finalists for the NL. Catcher Matt Nido for the Mets. Travis, how you said that?
Darno.
Yeah. And then JT Realmuto for the Phillies. First base, Matt Olson, Atlanta. Paul Goldschmidt, St. Louis. Christian Walker, Diamondbacks. Second base, Tommy Edman, St. Louis. Brendan Rodgers, Colorado. Drake Cronenworth, San Diego. Surprised Jeff McNeil's not on here, but then again, he was more known for his batting this year, not
That's
his
true.
play.
Yeah.
Shortstop, Na-Seung Kim, San Diego. Dansby Swanson, Atlanta. Miguel Rojas from Miami. Third base, Nolan Arenado, St. Louis. Ryan McMahon from Colorado, and Brian Hayes from Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh getting a little shout out here.
Yeah.
Left field, Ian Happ of the Cubs. David Peralta, Arizona / Tampa Bay. Christian Yelich. How's he even in this? Just because it's his last year or something?
He shouldn't be in there.
Center field, Victor Robles from Washington. Trent Grisham from San Diego. Alec Thomas from Arizona. I mean, you think about this, how many Arizona players you've already heard, you think they would have made the playoffs. And
Maybe.
as there's almost been a Diamondback in their position, they should be winning the whole thing.
Yep.
Right field, Mookie Betts, Dodgers, Juan Soto, Washington, San Diego. Dalton Varsho of the Diamondbacks. Pitcher Max Fried, Atlanta. Tyler Anderson, Dodgers. Corbin Burns, Milwaukee. Utility, Brendan Donovan, St. Louis. Tommy Edman, St. Louis. Dalton Varsho from the Diamondbacks. I didn't know you get nominated in multiple positions.
I didn't know that either.
So Tommy Edman, he's nominated in second base and utility, and then also you had Varsho from right field and utility for the Diamondbacks.
I think Edmonds got a good chance to win them both.
Because it's one per slot, correct?
Yeah.
So now on to your hockey.
All right. Golden Knights, Phil Kessel, the NHL's new Iron Man, 990 straight games played. That dates back to November 3rd, 2009. And he also scored his 400th career goal in the game last night against San Jose. So shout out to Phil Kessel, who is nothing like anybody else.
He's never sat out or never been hurt or anything?
Nope. And if he was, he played through it. So bizarre that he's the guy, but there you go. Hates water, doesn't even look like an athlete, but hey, good player. Your team, Bruins.
Your favorite player in the NHL?
Brad Marchand is set to return earlier than expected, likely in November. Off-season shoulder surgery wasn't expected back until Thanksgiving, but the Bruins have been good without him. A lot of people down on the Bruins this year, but hey, knowing Jim Montgomery the way that I have in St. Louis, yeah, I thought that they would be a playoff team. I didn't think they'd be – I mean, it's still a lot of time. I didn't think they'd be like, top of the Atlantic, which I don't think they will be, but very good start.
This could check out the lines too, because the top line is now totally different because Pasta's playing on the second line. The top line is all Canadians with Bergie, and I can't remember his wingman. The second one is all Czech players with Krejci and Pasta, and I forgot their third winger.
Pavel Zacha.
Yeah. So the first two were all based on their home countries.
That'll change when
When Marshy gets back, you don't know if it goes back to Bergie, Marshy, and Pasta, or if Pasta keeps his hot streak going and they keep him with Krejci.
They could. They certainly could. All right. Sends Josh Norris. Could be out for the season with shoulder injury. Signed an 8-year extension in the offseason. Very good young player. Hopefully he's not out for the season, but it would be a big blow to a Senators team that was looking to be a little bit better this season, and this would not help. Then I just want to throw this in there, or maybe do this every week or every 2 weeks just to get an idea where we're at. I probably should have put team points leader as well. Maybe I'll do that next week. But notable league leaders as of October 26th, points leaders, it's a 4-way tie for 12 points between Valeri Nichushkin from Colorado, David Pastrnak from Boston, Artemi Panarin from the New York Rangers, and Jesper Bratt from the New Jersey Devils all have 12. Goal-scoring leaders, it's Valeri Nichushkin, Andrei Svechnikov of Carolina, Steven Stamkos of Tampa, all at 7. 2-way tie for assists at 9 between Jesper Bratt of New Jersey and Nikita Kucherov of Tampa. Wins leader is your goaltender, Linus Ullmark from Boston at 5. And then save percentage leader, Craig Anderson actually has the best save percentage, but he's only played 2 games. So I threw in Jake Ottinger, who's played all the games for Dallas, at 953. And next week I'll put team points leader as well. Let me just add that now just so I have
Way
it.
to switch that every week.
Yeah,
One
I
week,
can do that.
AHL, second week teams.
Yeah, I could try to do that. We'll see. But now we go over to college football. Top 25. 1 through 5 stays the same. Georgia, Ohio State, Tennessee, Michigan, and Clemson. 1 through 6, actually.
Yeah, 6 actually stayed the same as well, with Alabama, TCU up 1-7, Oregon up 2-8, Oklahoma State up 2-9, USC up 2-10.
And then you had Wake Forest up 3-11, UCLA after getting destroyed by the Ducks. They're down 3-12. Penn State up 3-13, Utah up 1-14, and Ole Miss drops 8-15.
Yeah, and I have a feeling Penn State's dropping this week.
Yeah, that feels like a complete blowout, but I guess you never know.
Syracuse dropped 2-16, Illinois up 1-17. LSU goes from being unranked all the way up to 18, surpassing these other teams who have been ranked prior.
There you go.
Kentucky stays put at 19, Cincinnati up 1-20.
All right, 21, North Carolina up 1, my guys. Kansas State drops 5-22. Tulane up 2-23. NC State drops 1-24. And South Carolina unranked to number 25.
I don't know how LSU beating Ole Miss, and they were the favorite to win, jumps this high up in the rankings.
The polls never make sense. It's just a fact.
Well, I mean, we talked about earlier in the year when you had like the teams at the top winning and dropping.
True. All right, the picks. Let's do the picks. Last week for me, 6-2 in college football, 6-2 in the NFL. Didn't get a golfer. Went 1-1 in the NHL, 2-0 in the NBA. That is good for what? Let me do the quick math. 12, 15-4 on the week. So big week for me, surprisingly.
I was 4-4 in college football, 3-5 in the NFL. Which what did I had the Dolphins -7. They won 16-10.
I had the Steelers, so big win.
And then I went 1-1 in the hockey and 1-1 in the NBA. I thought the Nets over the Pelicans was a shoe-in. They got destroyed.
Yeah, that was not a good game for them at all.
Did not finish with a golfer. I had John Rahm to win. He did tie for 4th, and everything else was tied for 34th and higher.
Big bounce back. Got to have a big bounce back coming this week. We'll start with the golf tournament, which let's just get through this as quickly as possible because, my God, there's nobody. The Butterfield Bermuda Championship from Port Royal Golf Course in Bermuda. Who you got?
To win, I have Seamus Power at plus 2,500, Alex Smalley at plus 3,000, and S.H. Kim at plus 3,000.
I'm going Grayson Sig and Justin Lauer at plus 3,000, and then Sam Ryder at plus 7,000.
Top 5, Steven Yeager at plus 750, and Will Gordon as my top 10 at plus 450.
I'll go the Illinois alum Nick Hardy, top 5 plus 650, and Seamus Power plus 275, top 10.
I didn't know you were going to make Seamus Power your top 10 and really trying to homer this.
Trying to get one. Didn't get one last week. Got 2 the week before that. Trying to get back on track. All right, let's do the NBA picks for tonight.
I have the 76ers -2 over the Raptors, which is questionable, and the Trailblazers +2.5 over the Heat.
I will take the Bucks -3.5 against the Nets, and the Nuggets -5 against the terrible Lakers. NHL tomorrow.
I have the Capitals +110 over the Stars, which should be a good matchup. And then the Kraken -125 over the Canucks, who have yet to get a win.
Couple of big swing games. I'm taking the Stars -130 and the Canucks +105. So there's like 8 games tomorrow. We picked the exact same, but the opposite.
If we would have went tonight like we did last week, we would have
3
games again. We do our normal Thursday night picks, and you happen to pick the opposite of my games.
Big swing games here. That's a good thing.
I want to take the Bruins, but they were like -225 or 255. I don't like taking those big odds.
I didn't want to take the Blues on a back-to-back, so it all makes sense.
I mean, I almost took the Blues. I just don't like those big odd ones, like where someone say, "Give me picks."
That's true. College football, Power 5 games for Week 9.
I got in the ACC. I have Syracuse -2.5 over Notre Dame.
As do I.
Big 12. I have Baylor +2.5 over Texas Tech.
I have Oklahoma -1 at Iowa State.
That's a -1?
Yeah.
I thought that was the 11. That's why I didn't even look at that.
Was it 11? I don't know.
You may want to look at that.
Oklahoma's not good, though. But yeah, go ahead. I'll give it a look.
Big 10, I have Iowa -11 over Northwestern.
Naturally, I have Rutgers +14 at Minnesota.
I thought you might have went with Illinois there.
No, I think that number's a little bit high for a road game, but you never know. It is Oklahoma only -1, yes. Shows you where Oklahoma's at.
I thought it was 11, so I stayed away from that game. Pac-12, I have Utah -7 over Washington State, which is a Thursday night game.
I have the Ducks to continue to roll -17 at Cal.
SEC, I have Ole Miss -2 over Texas A&M, a little bounce back game after losing to LSU.
I have Ole Miss as well. And there's a lot of heat on Jimbo right now at Texas A&M, so that could get ugly.
There are 3 primetime games. You have number 2, Ohio State, at number 13, Penn State. Ohio State is a 15.5-point favorite.
I think this could be pretty similar to the Michigan game for Penn State, where they keep it pretty close in the first half, despite they looked horrible in the first half, but kept it close with a couple late opportunities. And I think Ohio State probably wins this game by 3 scores.
I'm rolling with my Nittany Lions just to cover the spread at +15.5.
They could. I mean, they're due to, Ohio State's due to have a real close – they haven't had any close games since week 1 against Notre Dame. So.
Well, no, it's like every other year, Penn State gives them a good game. You had the block punt win. Game 2, you have number 9, Oklahoma State versus number 22, Kansas State. Kansas State is a 1.5-point favorite. Once again, Oklahoma State is the underdog, even though they're the higher ranked team.
I'm going to take Oklahoma State plus the 1.5 all day.
As am I. And lastly, number 13, Kentucky at number 3, Tennessee. Tennessee is a 12.5-point favorite.
Well, one thing I'm worried about here is the health of Will Levis, the quarterback for Kentucky. If he's playing and healthy, which I think he is, I like Kentucky plus 12.5. I think Tennessee probably wins the game, but I also think they're due for a close call because last week they were playing UT Martin, which that's going to be hard to wake up for if you're Tennessee. You just killed Alabama. You're probably going to come out sluggish against UT Martin, even though UT Martin's not good, but you might come out a little sluggish, and they destroyed them. So Tennessee's been aces all year. I'm going to take Kentucky to cover the number, though.
I'm taking Tennessee.
It's a good decision probably. I'm probably going to regret that because Kentucky's been pretty brutal. But
maybe it's my time. Maybe it's my week to have a good numbers.
Could be. All right, NFL Week 8.
Start Thursday night football. Ravens at Bucks. Bucks are a 1-point favorite.
Going to go with the Bucks. The Ravens don't close games. You got to think something's got to give with the Bucks, the Packers, the Rams, and the Niners. So I think the Bucks get a win this week.
As much as I want the Bucks to win, and I hope they win, for hopeful picks, I'm taking the Ravens +1.
I don't blame you.
I think Lamar's rushing attack could affect them. They could cover all day, but they still got to be able to cover him.
True.
And they haven't had the best of pass rushes this season. And as shown last week, can't do much with the run.
Could be an issue in this game.
5 Sunday picks. I have the Jags -2.5 over the Broncos. Eagles -10.5 over the Steelers. Jets +2.5 over the Patriots. Saints +1.5 over the Raiders. And the Commanders +2.5 over the Colts.
I'll take the Jags -2.5 against the Broncos in London. I'll take the Patriots, who have won 12 in a row, against the Jets −2.5. Give me the Bears +9.5 at the Cowboys. I think they're due for a close game or a bad loss. Seahawks -3 against the Giants, and the Rams +1.5 against the Niners.
I looked at that Giants game and the way they've been playing. I didn't know about it.
I'm just going to guess that they're going to lose at some point, and this could be the one. Why not?
Sunday Night Football, you have the Packers at the Bills. The Bills are an 11-point favorite.
I would love to get this game over with at noon. I hate that this is a Sunday night game, but it also helps my expectations have never been lower. So until the Packers can prove to me that they can hang with good teams and maybe win, I'm going to take the Bills -11.
I took the Packers +11.
I mean, like I said, I wouldn't be stunned if they somehow won this game, but it just doesn't.
I'm not saying they're winning it. I'm just hoping they keep it close to an 11.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe they will.
Maybe Colt McCoy comes in the game a little early, they put it on cruise control.
Could be. That could be the case.
And then Monday Night Football, you have the Bengals at the Browns. Bengals are a 3.5-point favorite.
Yeah, I think the Bengals are hitting their stride. I'm going to take the Bengals -3.5.
I'm taking the Browns +3.5.
I like the pick. You never know. I think a lot of people are going to be heavy Bengals in this game, so I could see it going either way. All right.
At Cleveland, Myles Garrett actually had a full week of practice under him.
Yep. All right. The next time that we do this, it will be November. So Sports Mashup number 84. We'll see you then in November. Goodbye.
Deuces.